I'd like to talk a little bit about a couple of mid '70s records you were on, and the first one as a big Cream fan, what was it like being on Jack Bruce's record? And I know
Well,
you were with some great drummers on that too, Keltner and Gordon.
both of them were.
Yeah,
Well, for me, it was a dream come
yeah,
true. I was a huge Cream fan. I
yeah.
mean, in fact, I've told people this before. I was petrified that people are going to hear me play and realize all I was doing is playing Clapton licks because I just studied him like a and I was really afraid somebody was going to catch me and call me out on it. But um, I had every album. I never got to see them live, and I was really bummed that I didn't. When I first met Jack, which was on the Berlin album, we hit it off right off the bat. I
Oh yeah.
just, oh my God, that's Jack Bruce, man. Shit, he was sitting right across from me. I was like, wow, this is so cool. So then when he called me up to do an album, like I say, we got along really well, and he called me to do the album, and of course, yes, please. And it was in Los Angeles at the Los Angeles record plant, which was at the time was another great studio. Unfortunately, that one's burned down, but it was a great studio. So, and then I found out who the drummers were,
All
and I
right.
thought, oh my God, this is. I must have died and gone to rock and roll heaven. It's just silly. There's Keltner for a week and Jimmy Gordon for a week, and I actually did more stuff with Jimmy Gordon later on, and he actually played on my first solo album. He played
Right.
drums. So, here's the Layla drummer. Oh my God, what am I doing? Keltner has played with George Harrison and all the. Oh my
Oh
God,
yeah.
it was like that was a little scary at first because I thought, well, I'm either going to sink or swim in
Right.
this thing. Oh, and it was only three of us at a time. It was either me, Jack, and Keltner, or me, Jack, and Gordon. That was it. There was nobody else on the record at the time. It's just a trio. So I thought I got to sink or swim. So what's wonderful about that though is sometimes that edge that happens when you might feel a little intimidated or you might feel a little like, oh crap, man, am I in the right place? You have to just say, okay, look, I'm not going to lose a thing. I got to go for it.
Yeah.
And that edge puts something into your fingers and into your psyche when you're playing that makes you perform better than maybe even you think you can. It's it's really an extraordinary feeling. After about the first 2 or 3 days, I couldn't wait to get in the studio and find out what Jack was going to have us play. His music was very difficult. It was not easy.
Right.
Uh, there's a lot of stuff about it I didn't fully understand, but I figured out ways to find things to play, and that was good for me. That was really good for me. It was like I learned as much off of that as I did enjoy playing on it. I mean, it was like I went to school, and it was a wonderful experience. And Jack and I hung out a lot. We played Scrabble together. And he had his friend Peter Brown, who was his
Oh yeah.
lyricist.
Hmm.
Yeah, and boy, those two guys, you don't want to play Scrabble with. They were ridiculous. They always beat me. But especially Pete Brown because he's a lyricist, English
Oh yeah.
major. But it was I had a blast. Had a blast.
And the other one from that roughly time period that I wanted to ask you about was Dr. John.
Well, Dr. John, of course, I had never met him. I didn't meet him until I met him in the studio, but I knew who he was, and I knew he was Dr. John the Night Tripper.
Right.
He was the coolest guy on the planet. So I was really looking forward to doing that album because I loved his piano playing, and his singing and all that stuff. There was one beautiful moment in the studio. He and I got to be really good friends, uh, and he we were changing the studio around. They were moving the drums and all that. And we were just kind of hanging out. So he goes over to the piano. There's a beautiful grand piano in this studio's Cherokee in Los Angeles, a beautiful studio. And he went over and sat down on the piano and started playing all this wonderful New Orleans jazz stuff. And I sat down on the bench next to him and I said, wow, what's that, man? He said, oh, this is something I learned from Professor Longhair. And then he would play something else and say, I learned this from UB Black. What's his name? I can't remember his name.
I
But
know who you're talking about, and
you know what
yeah,
I'm talking about? And
yeah,
he just kept playing all this. UB Blake, that's his name.
that's right.
And he sat down there and played on the piano all this incredible New Orleans jazz stuff. And he was telling me where he got it all. This is Jelly Roll Morton, and I was like, this is a moment I'm never going to forget because I'm hearing the real deal from the real deal,
Oh
you
yeah,
know? And I never forgot that moment. It was the most beautiful thing because I felt like not only did I go through a history of New Orleans jazz piano, but I got it from the guy who's going to know more about it than just about anybody else. And it was fabulous. I had a lot of joy doing that record with Dr. John.
I worked for Hall and Oates for 10 years. I got to know Shane Terrio. He's a guitarist and band leader for the band and for Live from Daryl's House. And he produced Dr. John's last record. It hasn't come out yet, but he has such great stories about working with him too. It was just he said he had a blast.
He's a terrific guy. I saw him again at the Hall of Fame when he got inducted. I was substituting for Glenn Buxton for Alice's band, who of course had passed away. So I was subbing for him. I was playing guitar for him in the when Alice and the Alice Cooper band got inducted. And it was great to see him again. He remembered me, and then to hear him perform "Right Place at the Right Time," that song.
Oh yeah.
He still was just as cool as he always was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was wonderful. Great guy too. Great guy.